Hello, I'm Kevin Morrison. Welcome to SPS Now, where we let you know what's happening around Spokane Public Schools and how it affects your family. So let's take a look around SPS. First, we'd like to congratulate our Elementary Principal of the Year, Gina Nacarado-Keel. In a surprise announcement at Lidgerwood Elementary, the Spokane Elementary School Principals Association named her as the Dick Stannard Distinguished Elementary Principal of 2017. The award is named for a much-loved SPS principal who passed away in 1996. It honors the SPS elementary principal who shows purposeful guidance, excels at instructional leadership and resource development, and possesses exemplary interpersonal skills. Well done, Gina. Our long-range facility planning for the 2021 school construction bond continues this year with an attendance boundary study. Last year, a committee of staff, parents, and community members examined various grade configuration options. They presented their initial findings to the public, collected feedback, and then made a recommendation to the Spokane Public Schools Board of Directors. After review of the study and hearing public testimony, the board agreed that SPS middle schools should contain grades 6 through 8 instead of the current 7 through 8 configuration. This switch will happen between 2021 and 2027 as part of the future bond to build additional middle schools. Details of the transition are now being developed. Moving sixth graders to middle schools will have an effect on multiple school attendance boundaries at all levels to make sure there's adequate space and resources for students. An attendance boundary study committee will get started this fall exploring processes and practices that have worked well for other districts. We'll be sharing the committee's presentation and meeting notes at the web address on your screen. Stay tuned. In 2014, we asked parents, staff, and community members to share their thoughts about what SPS is doing well and what needs work. Nearly 9,000 people shared more than 23,000 thoughts and ideas about how we can improve SPS together. School and district administrators use the results to help create their annual school improvement plans, which help identify priorities for staff. The school board also uses the results to get a pulse from the community on how well the district is aligning to the long-range strategic plan. Now it's time to check in again and see how our progress has been and what's on your mind. Invitations to participate in the Thought Exchange community conversation are being emailed from Spokane Public Schools Superintendent Shelley Redinger this month. If you're a parent or a guardian of an SPS student, be sure that the school office has your current email address. If you don't have children in our schools, we still want to hear from you. Click the Become a Key Communicator link at SpokaneSchools.org. I'm joined now by the newest addition to the 5-member SPS Board of Directors, Mr. Brian Newberry. Director Newberry, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm originally from Colorado. I grew up a military family member and ended up going to the military Air Force Academy, served in many different assignments around this country and indeed around this world. I was a pilot by trade. I flew KC-135s, which I finished flying here at Fairchild Air Force Base, but I also had a stint as a cargo pilot. I had several tours in the Washington, D.C. area, and did many more things around this world, and ended up finishing up here at Fairchild Air Force Base from 2012 to 2014, where I came here as the wing commander of the 92nd Air Refueling Wing. My wife and I fell in love with the area, and here we are 2 or 3 years later. In the present time, I was fortunate enough to be hired to be the Executive Director of Leadership Spokane, which teaches leaders about how they can make a difference in the community, how they can help others, how we can make a stronger Spokane. And I've been doing that for the last 3 years and enjoy every minute of it.
Great, great. You were selected from approximately 24 applicants to replace Director Paul Schneider, who left the board. What was your motivation for running for a school board?
That's a great question. It didn't come to me at first. I saw the advertisement go out and I said, that's interesting. But the more I thought about it, I thought this was my time to step up for education. We're recent empty nesters. My youngest son just headed off to university. So we have 2 out there at college right now. And being a military family member, we experienced about 10 or 11 school districts in my total career. And I just remember every time I would have an assignment come down, the first day was going home, celebrating with the family and talking about what it was going to be like. But the very next day, Some days it was pre-internet where you had to kind of start doing the research in other places, visiting the library. But in present times, you could actually use the internet and you could check out. And the first thing that my wife and I would check out was the school system, because we wanted to have that opportunity for our children. And so we wanted to figure out where we wanted to live, what part of the city we wanted to live, so that they would have access to different schools. And so for me, education has always been a paramount parent responsibility, and I really cared about it. With me being an empty nester now, I just thought this was my time to give back to parents out there and guardians who want the best for their children, and hopefully that I can contribute to that, to helping their children, just like board of directors all over this nation did it for me every time I was opening up the internet and saying, where do I want my son to go to school?
Right. And with 14,000 school districts across the United States, you have to realize there are a lot of volunteer directors out there, such as yourself. You've been in the job roughly a month, I don't think even a total month. What have you learned so far?
What I've learned so far is just the immense resources that are out there dedicated to our students. Certainly my son is a recent graduate of Ferris High School. I've had exposure to that school and the great principal shoots and all the other things that's going on there. But I haven't seen the vast expanse out there that is truly dedicated. Folks like yourself, folks like the administrators, folks like the teachers who are on the front lines. And in my short time here, and it is a short time, but I'm trying to learn quick, I've gotten to meet a lot of those administrators, a lot of those teachers and others, and it's just incredible the resources that show up every day to say, how can we give opportunity and achievement to the students in our classrooms? And that, for me, has been truly, truly astonishing, as well as makes my heart swell.
Oh, that's good to hear. Any surprises so far?
No major surprises other than the fact that this is certainly a job that is a volunteer job, but it's one that I'm expected to take seriously, and I will take seriously. It's probably not a day that goes by that I don't get some kind of interaction or something that we need to do this, that, or the other thing. And so I'm on board, I'm ready to serve, and but I do definitely, I was warned that it was an intensive working board opportunity, and I think that's played out here. But I salute the other board members and thank them for having confidence in me. And I also want to salute all those that put their name forward to apply, as you mentioned, 24 candidates. That's a lot of folks out there who want to help for not pay, for not anything other than the fact that they believe in our children and they want to give them brighter futures. That's special.
It is. It really is. It says a lot about Spokane.
It does.
What are going to be your guiding philosophies moving forward when decisions come before the board? Do you, obviously, you bring personal experience, you bring all those moves with you as well, but what, in the end, what is going to be the decision making that goes on for some of the issues that come before a school board?
I think any leader needs to always fall back on their core values. That's what makes a leader, is that ability to trust in them, the ability for them to be authentic. I hope that I can be an authentic leader for our school district here. And for me, it's my core values. I mean, I fall back to the core values of my Air Force time, which was integrity, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And I think that I will apply that same core values, I hope, to the school, in the sense that integrity, not just honesty and truthfulness, but integrity of the system. Is the system being right and fair and giving opportunity to our students? I hope that I can help that as well. Service before self, you know, to me, the staff, the teachers, the administrators that I mentioned, they need recognition. They need the ability to understand that we appreciate them and do. So in my role, as I will look for opportunities. Today I'll be going to the Principal of the Year's luncheon. I mean, every chance I can to go to something to help out and to say thank you, I will. That's certainly a second principle for me. And the final one is excellence in all we do. I hope that students, when they achieve, no matter where they're at, they build confidence, and that confidence leads their ability to be exceptional leaders for their families, for their communities. And so that's a guiding principle. Is this going to lead to excellence in all they do down the road with this decision? So excellence, integrity, service before self, those are the things that I think will guide my decisions. I hope they do, and I hope the people as well as the board of directors hold me to that.
All right. And what did, you know, you've listed your guiding philosophies as well as, you know, what brought you here to serve. You know, for somebody new to Spokane or somebody who has extra time on their hands, somebody who wants to volunteer in our schools, what advice could you give them?
I always certainly follows Mother Teresa's advice where she says, don't worry about the numbers. Start with help the person next to you, help with the person closest to you. Right. And I certainly think that's the case when it comes to our school district. Look out there for opportunities where you can volunteer in your school. Ferris, for example, at the end of the year, they always have exit interviews where we give advice, we give mentoring to the seniors who are leaving, and I'm sure all the high schools do the same thing. That's an opportunity to jump in. It doesn't take very much time, but your advice can make a difference to a high school senior for years and years to come. Certainly come to board meetings, see what we're doing, give us feedback, give us input to make, because we can't make those decisions by ourselves. I think looking for ways that you can help out, and ultimately as someone that's been involved with Leadership Spokane, we have an incredible youth program which fosters to high school youth and teaches them leadership. In my experience with that and other things with Boy Scouts of America and Girl Scouts of America where I help with the board of directors, on those situations, I always think that mentoring is just such an important ability that we can try. So when you see a youth, reach out to them, see what's going on in their life, see where their goals are, and help them achieve those goals by just walking them through that process. That would be my best advice. I know at the school board meeting last week, when they asked me kind of what my overall hope was, it's just the fact that I said Abraham Lincoln's quote, "No one stands tall who stoops to help a child." And I hope that I can stand tall for every child that's out there in the district, but I know that anyone can stand tall by a child, but just stopping, listening to them and saying, "I'm here for you, let's go make a difference."
Fantastic. Thank you very much for being here, and best of luck in your tenureship on the board of directors.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
In the wake of tragic events at Freeman High School, we asked SPS Director of Safety, Mark Stirk, to outline what the district is doing to keep your children safe at school. Let's take a look.
Spokane Public Schools has enhanced the security systems throughout the district over the last 3.5 to 4 years. We've used levy money to help us to do that. One of the things that we've done is put secure single point of entry in every school. We all know that we're not going to always stop an active shooter from happening because most of the time we know the people and they're allowed into the school because they're part of the school. That's the majority of the cases across the country. But for us, it's the stranger that shows up at our school and tries to gain entrance into our school. And we've had some real success stories already where we have been able to turn away people that were dangerous that shouldn't have been in our schools. We've got other things that we're focusing on, like secure single point of entry, putting over 1,600 cameras throughout our district, having resource officers in our schools that are trained to build relationships with kids. Those are the things that we're focusing on at this time, rather than putting in more hardware and technology and those kinds of things that are very costly in a variety of ways. It looks very different to our parents and to our kids when they have to go through a metal detector in order to get to school. We would like not to have to do that at this point and focus on the other ways of preventing. We do a lot of training with the Spokane Fire Department and with the Spokane Police Department. We ask them to participate in tabletop exercises with us so that we are getting real-time feedback from our law enforcement agencies, emergency services providers, so that they can coach us up and keep us current on the best strategies, the best practices to use in case we have an event. And we have a very close working relationship with Chief Meidel and Chief Schaefer from the fire department. So it's a really good partnership, and I feel very confident that that's going to help keep our kids safe.
I'm now with SPS Student Services Coordinator, Chris Moore. Chris, welcome.
Thank you.
You are part of a much larger team that the district has started investing in counseling services, mental health therapists, and psychologists within the district. Why do they see the need for that investment?
Students today are coming to us with a lot higher need in terms of mental health. We have more of a prevalence of students that are coming from trauma and have mental health needs, and we need to be able to provide support to our students, that social emotional support, before we can even start to get to the learning. So the district, it's been a top priority for Spokane Public Schools. They have hired additional staff. We have mental health therapists in almost every building. We have either an individual counselor or teams of counselors, depending on the student population, to support students.
And obviously what that goes with that is some probably some additional professional development that is constantly ongoing with all staff.
Correct.
I would think.
Correct. So we are able to provide training to all district staff on how to talk to someone in crisis, albeit a parent, an additional staff member, or a student. What are signs and symptoms of someone that is in crisis or may be suffering from depression, and how can we build staff capacity to be able to provide the support necessary to our students?
So are you you've been with the district for a number of years. Are you seeing any trends in student behaviors over your tenure with Spokane Public Schools?
Absolutely, and I would think that most people would concur that we are seeing an increase in the levels of trauma that students are being exposed to and bringing behaviors to the schools, behaviors that we rarely saw even 10 years ago. And now we have more mental health issues with students. We have students that are depressed, suffering from anxiety, and it's being displayed in behaviors in the classroom, and those behaviors are being a barrier to those students being able to access their education and find success toward their eventual goal of graduation.
Right. So similar to nutrition services, if a student comes to us hungry, they're not going to be able to learn either.
Absolutely.
So it goes hand in hand with that. And this is obviously not a Spokane issue only.
It is nationwide. Every school district, albeit private, large, small, is dealing with increased needs of students. It's that social emotional support that we need to pull together as a community, as a school community, as a Spokane community, and wrap our arms around these students, get to know them as human beings, as individuals, get to know their stories, because every single person that we encounter has a story, and we have an obligation to our future generation, our students, that we need to find out what their story is, build relationships, and provide support to all students.
Chris, we are on the heels of both a tragedy in Las Vegas and locally in our neighborhood of Freeman High School. What advice? So obviously our media, is saturated with those images and those stories, and that our students are seeing as well. What advice do you have to parents? What resources? How do they talk to their children about what their students are seeing on television and in the media?
First, I would caution parents to try to limit exposure, because that's traumatizing in and of itself. And I know that we as adults like to be informed about what's going on in our world, but we need to remember that we have students with minds that are not fully developed, and they don't have that cognitive capacity and the emotional capacity to really process what they're being exposed to. So I would say first to all community members and parents and guardians, please try to limit exposure, and but yet if they are exposed to it, have an open conversation that we need to be able to build relationships with people. There are people that are hurting, people need support, people need help, and if you are seeing something online, parents, tell your students, if you are seeing anything online through social media, kids, they need to report it to a trusted adult.
Great advice. And there's resources obviously out there for parents to follow too. They can come to our website. I know that you and your staff, your team has worked hard to put together some of those resources. Anything else you'd like to share with our community?
It takes a village to raise these kids. We love them. We're all in this work for kids. We have them for 6.5 hours a day, 180 days a year. And when we don't have them, they're in neighborhoods. They're with their families, they're in clubs, they're in sports, they're in organizations. We all need to build relationships. We need to notice if we see a change in students' behavior. Are they gaining a lot of weight? Are they losing a lot of weight? Are they changing their hair color often? Are they sleeping at night? Are they sleeping too much? We really need to get a pulse on kids and see if there's a change in behavior. If we're seeing a drastic change in behavior in a student, in any human being, there's a reason for it.
Great. Chris, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for what you're doing for Spokane Public Schools.
Thank you.
Thanks to the passage of the 2015 bond, 2 major construction projects just finished on time and on budget, while a couple more projects are getting underway this fall. A 32,000 square foot cafeteria and commons addition now connects North Central High School's main building with the Institute of Science and Technology. And at Salk Middle School, students and staff recently celebrated their new 97,000 square foot school, which has a capacity to hold 850 students. Some basic site work has begun at Linwood Elementary, with construction scheduled to start next spring on a new 75,000 square foot 2-story school. We've also broken ground on the renovation and addition of Franklin Elementary, set to be completed in winter of 2019. Meanwhile, Franklin students and staff are settling into Camp Franklin at the old Jefferson Building on Grand Boulevard for the next year and a half.
I was a student at Franklin, K through 6. I was in the little green kindergarten house, and so that was the 60s. When you walked in the door, the way the doors creaked, I remembered from my childhood. The school still smelled the same. And one of the things I really loved at Franklin was the giant glass case in the hallway, and it had a history of Franklin Elementary from years ago that Dr. Brian Shute put together. And that was a cool thing to walk past every day and see, how long Franklin has been there and all of the history that Franklin has.
I kind of miss like the soccer field and how you got to run all about the field. The field here is just really small.
I miss the fun area and playing around with my friends in that big playground.
I don't know, I like the playground there, and I liked the field, how it was so big, and I also liked the classroom that I was in. I think it's cool, like trying out a new school and seeing what it's like. I like it because it's much more close to my house than the other school.
I think the best thing is that we get to stay together, and it's really brought us together as far as a staff trying to struggle and move boxes and help each other and get our spaces together and all of that. So I think, anytime you kind of go through you don't want to call it a crisis, but anytime you go through something like that, it brings your staff closer together.
I kind of just want to see what it looks like and find out the differences between the just normal old one. Seeing how big it is and the playground.
Oh, air conditioning. That's got to be the number one. And looking forward to the new campus and how pretty it will be. And I think we'll get more students too because we'll be a bigger school.
It's also important to note that the 2015 School Improvement Bond passed by the public includes projects and updates for all schools, everything from blacktop replacement to more efficient lighting fixtures. And you can find out what updates your neighborhood school has received by contacting your school office. On each episode of SPS Now, we take a moment to highlight one of our many community partners. Every fall since 2009, Active for Youth has organized an elementary cross-country program that includes more than 50 schools in the Central Valley, West Valley, and Spokane Public Schools districts. In SPS alone, more than 3,700 elementary-age children participate in this free program. Students practice several times a week at their school and compete against other student athletes from other schools as well. Active for Youth provides a safe place for students to be active and challenged outside of the school day. Getting kids involved in cross-country builds the school community and helps students develop grit and character. Learn more about Active for Youth at the address on your screen. November is a traditional time of year for voting in our country, but election season is flexible through our 52 Spokane public schools. Some of our students are preparing to cast their ballots this fall, while others participated in a spring campaign. We spoke to a few student candidates about what they're learning about the democratic process.
I ran because it was a good opportunity and I wanted to help the school and make sure everyone has a voice and make school more fun.
So I just wanted to get more involved, I guess, in the school. And I kind of want to be somebody that kids can come to, because sometimes kids feel obligated that they have to speak to a teacher or somebody, but sometimes it's more comfortable to go to a student.
I thought it'd be a really fun opportunity because I've never really been a part of ASB, and in elementary school we kind of did it and I really wanted to do it but never ran, so.
I decided to run because I actually just moved to Spokane from Idaho and just saw things that I wanted to incorporate and saw ASB as my way to get my influence in.
I've just always really liked to be a part of my school and what we do, and it's always just been kind of my thing to represent the school and to put different activities together, so I wanted to take on kind of a more official leadership role.
I did this because A, it looks really, really good on resumes and transcripts, and B, I love being involved in my school, and it's really opened up my eyes of how big our school is, but how small and how connected we can really be.
I learned about leadership and how to be a good role model to my fellow classmates and everybody at the school.
Because they look up to you and you need to be a better student and say hey in the hallways and just be a nicer person.
You can't be crazy in class and stuff. You have to actually focus and make sure that you're always listening to the teachers.
It definitely puts a lot of pressure on you to be a better student because everyone's watching you at all times and you're a role model and leader of the school.
It's not exactly an easy thing to do, but it's worth it when you put in the effort in the end.
Thanks for watching Spokane. This show is available alongside our other SPS programming at spokaneschools.org/stories, and it will air again on Comcast Channel 17. You can learn more about anything mentioned during the show by visiting us online. We'll say goodnight with a portion of a bedtime story read by Jefferson Elementary librarian Gail Madsen. This is one of several stories read by SPS librarians, which we're posting to our Facebook page every couple of weeks. Until next time, good night and have a great week.
I know it's wrong to steal a hat. I know it does not belong to me, but I'm going to keep it. It was too small for him anyway. It fits me just right. And look, I made it, where the plants are big and tall and close together. I knew I was going to make it. Nobody will ever find me.